Waiting is one of the hardest things we ever learn to do. Nobody likes to wait. We live in a world that moves fast. Everything's instant. Instant success, instant answers, instant gratification. But the truth is, nothing truly meaningful ever grows overnight. When it comes to divine timing, waiting is not weakness. Waiting is strength. It's where your faith gets tested, stretched, and strengthened. It's the gym of the spirit, the battlefield of patience, and the classroom of trust. I've been in those seasons where I prayed and nothing moved. I worked hard, stayed disciplined, kept believing, and still nothing changed. You start asking, why am I still here? Why hasn't it happened yet? But what I learned was that waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is working time. God uses that space to shape you, to prepare you, to refine you for what's coming. You might not see it, but every delay has a divine purpose attached to it. When you rush what's meant to mature, you miss the blessing. If you pull a cake out of the oven too early, it falls flat. If you pick the fruit before it's ripe, it's bitter. The same applies to your purpose. You can't force it. You can't rush it. Because when something is meant for you, it won't require you to chase it down. It will come to you when you're ready to carry it. Waiting seasons are not about what you're waiting for, they're about who you're becoming while you wait. Patience doesn't mean sitting still doing nothing. It means trusting while you keep working. It means staying faithful even when it feels pointless. It means believing even when the evidence says give up. Because faith isn't proven when things are going right, it's proven when nothing is moving and you still hold on. That's what separates those who see God's hand move from those who stop just short of the miracle. Sometimes God will make you wait because what He's preparing for you requires more strength, more wisdom, more maturity than you have right now. He's not denying you, He's developing you. If He gave it to you too soon, it could destroy you. He knows when your heart is ready, when your mind is steady, and when your character can handle the blessing. So He takes His time. You might be praying for a promotion, but God's still shaping your leadership. You might be asking for love, but He's still healing your heart. You might be asking for success, but He's still teaching you humility. The wait isn't punishment, it's protection. Because God would rather withhold something temporarily than watch you lose it permanently. I've seen people get everything they asked for before they were ready, and it crushed them. They had the platform but not the peace, the opportunity but not the integrity, the dream but not the discipline. The waiting room is where you build those things. It's where you learn how to handle what's coming. Because a blessing out of season can feel like a burden. There's a reason the best things in life take time. Diamonds form under pressure. Strong trees take years to grow. Great stories don't happen in a chapter, they take time to unfold. You're not behind, you're not forgotten. You're being written into something that requires patience, something that's worth waiting for. And while you wait, don't waste your waiting. Prepare, grow, learn. Keep moving forward with faith. Keep showing up even when it feels small. Because what you do in the dark determines how you'll shine in the light. Waiting is not about doing nothing, it's about doing what you can with what you have while trusting God to do what only He can do. Sometimes the reason you're still waiting is because someone else's piece of the plan isn't ready yet. God is orchestrating everything, your path, their path, the timing, the connections. He's aligning people, places, and purpose in ways you can't imagine. So while it looks like nothing's happening, everything is. And when the moment finally comes, you'll understand why it took so long. You'll look back and say, I'm glad it didn't happen when I wanted it to. I wasn't ready then. You'll see how every no led to a better yes. Every delay led to deeper growth. Every closed door led to divine direction. The hardest thing you'll ever do is trust God when nothing makes sense. But that's exactly when faith is the most alive. That's when you learn to say, even if I don't see it yet, I believe it's coming. Because what's meant for you will never miss you. It may take time, but it will arrive right on time, not a moment early or late. So if you're in that waiting season right now, hold on. Don't rush out of it. Don't let impatience steal your peace. This is your preparation season. This is where your strength is being built. When the door finally opens, you won't just walk through it. You'll walk through it ready, steady, and thankful. Because the wait wasn't wasted. It was working for you the whole time. You know, there's something powerful about silence, not the kind that happens when a room goes quiet, but the kind that happens when your life does, when the calls stop coming, when the plans fall apart, when nothing you're trying seems to work anymore. That's silence. That's the space where most people lose heart. But I want you to understand something tonight. When God moves, He often moves in that silence. You may not see the waves parting. You may not feel the ground shaking. But trust me, everything around you is shifting. There are moments in your life when God hides His work from you, not because He's ignoring you, but because He's aligning things that you can't yet comprehend. You see, if He showed you everything He was building, you'd rush ahead of Him. You'd try to help Him do His job, and sometimes your help becomes interference. So He quiets everything. He hides you, isolates you, and slows you down not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think about this. Every masterpiece is painted in silence. Every structure begins underground before it touches the sky. The roots of a tree grow deeper in the dark before the branches ever feel the sun. The same way, God works beneath the surface of your life quietly, patiently, intentionally. You might feel like nothing's happening, but that's because He's working where your eyes can't see. There will be days when you look up and say, God, where are you? And it feels like heaven is silent. But I've learned silence doesn't mean absence. Silence means He's strategizing. It means He's setting something up so perfect that when it finally unfolds, you'll look back and say, if that hadn't fallen apart, I would have never been here. You'll realize that what felt like a loss was a lesson, what felt like a delay was direction, and what felt like abandonment was alignment. Sometimes you're praying for a door to open, but God knows that door leads to destruction. So He keeps it closed. You cry, you get frustrated, you think He forgot, but He didn't. He's saving you from something your eyes can't see. He's building a bridge you'll only notice once you've crossed it. There's a quiet kind of miracle that happens in those seasons. You start to see that God's hand doesn't always come with fireworks. It comes with subtle shifts, a conversation that redirects your focus, a closed door that forces you to move, a delay that reveals who's truly with you. That's how He works, not always loud, but always precise. And if you really think about it, it's the quiet work that shapes you the most. It's when you're alone that you learn to listen. It's when everything slows down that your faith starts to grow. Because faith doesn't need noise, it just needs trust. You can't see the air, but you breathe it every day. You can't see the wind, but you feel it move. In the same way, you may not see the hand of God, but you'll feel it guiding, protecting, and lifting you when you least expect it. I've seen people give up right before the breakthrough. They get tired of waiting, tired of silence, and they start doubting. But let me tell you something, the silence before sunrise always feels the darkest. That's when it's quietest. That's when it's stillest. But it's also when the light is about to break through. So if your life feels quiet right now, hold on. Don't confuse silence with absence. God might just be setting the stage for your moment. You've got to learn to trust the unseen, because what you can't see is often more powerful than what you can. A seed doesn't break the surface overnight. It sits in the soil, hidden, forgotten, but it's growing. It's pushing, stretching, becoming. That's you. You're not stuck. You're growing in silence. You're being formed in private so that when it's time, you can stand in public. And when God does move, you'll see that He was there the whole time. Every rejection, every detour, every delay, it was all Him. It was all love. You'll start to realize that His silence was His mercy, His delay was His protection, and His hidden hand was His greatest gift. So, if it's quiet in your life right now, take a breath and trust it. The silence doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means something sacred is being built, something meant just for you. Don't let frustration make you walk away from your preparation. Because when it's time, when that divine timing hits, everything will fall into place exactly the way it was supposed to. And when it does, you'll look back at this season, the one that felt empty, and you'll smile. Because you'll see it for what it truly was, not the end, but the beginning of everything you prayed for. You ever notice how sometimes life just flips the script on you? One day everything's smooth, everything's predictable, and then out of nowhere, something shifts. A job ends, a friendship breaks, a plan falls apart. You're left standing there asking, why now? Why this? But what I've learned is this: when God disrupts your life, it's never to destroy you, it's to redirect you. Those unexpected shifts, those interruptions, those moments that don't make sense, they're not accidents. They're divine interventions. We all love comfort. We love knowing what's next. We love control. But comfort can become a cage if you stay in it too long. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. So when you start getting too comfortable where you are, God will shake things up. He'll move something. He'll close a door you were leaning on. He'll end a season you weren't ready to leave, because He knows you'll never move if nothing pushes you. Think about this. If a bird never left the nest, it would never learn to fly. The mother doesn't wait for the bird to decide. She nudges it. Sometimes she pushes it. That push looks cruel, but it's love. Because without the push, the bird would never realize it was built to soar. That's exactly what divine disruption feels like. It feels like you're falling, but really you're learning to fly. There are moments when life takes you in a direction you didn't plan, and you start to think something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. Something went asterisk, right asterisk, because there are places you wouldn't go unless something forced you to. You wouldn't discover your strength unless something challenged you. You wouldn't meet your purpose unless something pulled you away from your comfort. Sometimes the storm you're cursing is the same storm that's steering you toward destiny. It's easy to trust when everything looks clear, but when everything shakes, when you don't understand what's happening, that's when real faith shows up. You've got to learn to look at disruptions differently. They're not rejections, they're redirections. Maybe you lost that job not because you failed, but because your purpose outgrew the position. Maybe someone walked out of your life not because they were bad, but because their season in your story ended. Maybe a door closed not because you weren't worthy, but because what's behind it wasn't meant to hold your blessing. Every divine disruption comes with divine purpose. When something shifts suddenly, our first instinct is to fight it. We want to fix it, control it, hold on to what's slipping away. But sometimes the best thing you can do is stop resisting and start trusting. Because while you're trying to hold on, God's trying to lift you higher. You're asking Him to save what He's already trying to replace. The truth is, we can't grow and cling to comfort at the same time. Growth means change, and change means letting go. It's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar, it's uncertain, but that's how transformation works. You can't step into the next level of your life while holding on to the last one. Sometimes you have to lose something to make space for what's meant to come. If you look back at your life, I bet you'll see it. The moments you thought were breaking you were actually building you. The doors that closed forced you to take paths you never would have chosen, and those paths led you to blessings you couldn't have planned. What you thought was a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in disguise. Disruptions are not delays in your destiny. They're detours to get you there safely. God will remove people, positions, and plans not because He's cruel, but because He loves you too much to let you settle for less than what He created you for. That's why He shakes the ground sometimes, because if He didn't, you'd stay in places that were never meant to hold your growth. So when something suddenly shifts, instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" try saying, "What is this teaching me?" You'll start to see purpose in the pain, wisdom in the waiting, strength in the shaking. You'll start to realize that every disruption is preparation in disguise. Life won't always go according to your plan, but that's because there's a higher plan in motion. You may not understand it right now, but trust that the author of your story knows how to write better than you know how to plan. Every twist, every turn, every delay, it's all leading somewhere. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted, so when things fall apart, don't panic. Pause, breathe, trust, because what's collapsing might be what's clearing the way for your breakthrough. The very thing that felt like loss might turn out to be your liberation. You don't have to fear disruption anymore. When your plans fail, when your comfort fades, when your path changes, just know God's hand is still steady. He's not done. He's just moving you closer to where you're meant to be. There comes a moment in life when nothing makes sense. You've done everything right, you've worked hard, you've prayed, you've trusted, and still life throws you a curveball. It's in those moments you start asking questions. Why did this happen? Why me? Why now? You want answers, but all you get is silence. That silence tests your heart, your patience, your faith. But let me tell you something, sometimes you have to trust beyond understanding. Because faith isn't about figuring everything out, it's about believing even when nothing adds up. When you try to make sense of everything, you wear yourself out. You can't reason your way through divine timing. You can't analyze your way into peace. Some things are not meant to be understood. They're meant to be trusted. Life is a mystery by design. God doesn't show you every detail because if you saw everything, you wouldn't need faith. And without faith, there's no growth. Think about the way a pilot flies through fog. He can't see the runway. He can't see the ground. All he's got are the instruments, the readings that tell him where he is and where he's going. He has to trust those instruments even when visibility is zero. That's what walking with God is like. You may not see the path ahead, but you have to trust the guidance within. Sometimes your greatest growth comes when your greatest questions go unanswered. You're forced to lean not on what you know, but on what you believe. You're forced to stop relying on your understanding and start relying on your trust. That's where real faith begins, not when you can see, but when you can't. There are moments when life will take something from you, a dream, a relationship, an opportunity, and you'll wonder why. You'll try to connect the dots to make sense of it all. But faith means believing that even when you can't connect the dots, God already has. Every disappointment, every detour, every delay, it's all part of a plan that's bigger than your perspective. You might be standing in a storm right now, wondering what went wrong. But storms don't always come to destroy. Sometimes they come to reveal. They show you who's with you, what's in you, and how strong your roots really are. You may not understand it while it's happening, but when the sky's clear, you'll look back and realize it had to happen. Every test, every tear, every closed door was guiding you towards something greater. Understanding can be a trap. When you demand an explanation for everything, you leave no room for mystery, no room for faith. You start thinking that peace comes from answers, but it doesn't. Peace comes from trust. You can't always trace God's hand, but you can always trust His heart. There are things that didn't work out in your life because they weren't supposed to. That opportunity you thought you missed, it wasn't missed. It was redirected. That person who walked away, they were never meant to stay for the next chapter. The path that suddenly changed it wasn't a mistake. It was a move of grace. You might not see it now, but someday you'll thank God for the prayers He didn't answer the way you wanted. Sometimes you have to lose your plan to find His purpose. That's the trade. You give up the illusion of control for the reality of peace. When you stop trying to understand everything, you start to experience something deeper, a calm that doesn't depend on circumstances. You begin to realize that your understanding is limited, but His wisdom is infinite. And maybe that's why He lets things stay unclear for a while, because uncertainty keeps you humble. It keeps you connected. It keeps you listening. When you think you've got it all figured out, you stop seeking guidance. But when life humbles you, when you have no choice but to trust, that's when you become stronger, wiser, more grounded. Faith isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about standing firm even when everything's falling apart. It's about saying, I don't know how, but I believe, because the truth is, you don't need to understand the path to walk it. You just need to take the next step, one day at a time, trusting that it's leading somewhere good. So when confusion fills your mind and you can't see the reason behind your season, don't panic. Don't lose your peace trying to control what's not yours to control. Some answers only come after the journey, not before it. What looks like chaos now will make perfect sense later. You've got to remember, you're not walking this path alone. You're guided, you're guarded, you're growing even when you don't understand how. The light you're looking for might not come as explanation, but as revelation, and that revelation will always come in time. So breathe, trust the process, stop needing to know, and start choosing to believe. Because one day you'll look back at everything that didn't make sense, and it'll all fit together like pieces of a perfect puzzle. Life moves in seasons, just like the earth shifts from spring to summer, summer to autumn, and autumn to winter. Your life has its own rhythm, its own timing. But what makes it hard is that you don't always know which season you're in. Some seasons are bright, full of opportunity, growth, and joy, and others feel cold, heavy, uncertain. You start wondering if you'll ever feel the warmth again. But every season, no matter how hard or confusing, carries meaning. Every one of them serves a purpose. We're so quick to label seasons as good or bad, success or failure, blessing or loss. But in truth, every season plays a role in shaping who you are becoming. The painful seasons teach you endurance. The quiet ones teach you patience. The abundant ones teach you gratitude. And the waiting seasons teach you faith. You can't skip any of them because each one builds something you'll need for the next. Sometimes we get stuck trying to stay in a season that's already over. You're holding on to people, habits, or places that were meant for your past, not your present. You keep watering dead soil, trying to bring something back that's already served its purpose. But just like the trees don't fight the winter, you have to learn to let go. Because letting go isn't failure, it's preparation for renewal. You can't receive the new if you're still clinging to the old. And here's the truth: alignment happens when you stop fighting the season you're in, when you stop asking why and start asking what now? What is this moment trying to teach me? What is it preparing me for? You may not like the lesson, but the lesson is what prepares you for elevation. Every delay, every detour, every difficulty is aligning you with something you can't yet see. When the timing is right, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was random was actually orchestrated. The pain wasn't pointless. The silence wasn't empty. The struggle wasn't punishment. It was alignment. You were being placed exactly where you needed to be, even when it didn't feel like it. There's a rhythm to divine timing. When you're in alignment, things start to flow. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because your spirit stops fighting what's meant to be. You start to see that not every door that closes is rejection. Some are protection. Not every no is the enemy. Sometimes it's grace saying, not yet. And when that yes finally arrives, it comes with peace. It doesn't drain you, it fits you. You can't force a season to move faster. You can't make spring come in the middle of winter, but you can prepare. You can keep your heart ready, your spirit grounded, your vision clear, because when the shift happens, and it will, you'll be ready to move. That's the beauty of divine timing. It doesn't rush, but it never fails. I've seen people break down because they compared their season to someone else's. They looked at someone else's harvest and forgot that they're still planting. You can't compare your planting season to someone else's blooming season. What's for them is for them. What's for you is coming in its own time, in its own way. That's alignment. It's not about matching anyone else's pace. It's about trusting your own process. And yes, sometimes alignment means isolation. You'll outgrow places. You'll outgrow people. You'll even outgrow versions of yourself. It'll feel lonely at first, but that loneliness is where you find clarity. It's where you rediscover who you are and what truly matters. Because when you align with purpose, not everyone can walk with you anymore. Not because they're bad, but because their season in your story has ended. You've got to understand God never wastes time. Every season has divine timing attached to it. The dry ones, the difficult ones, the ones that make you want to give up, they're all necessary. Because when the alignment finally happens, everything starts making sense. The people you lost, the doors that closed, the tears you cried, they all form the pattern of purpose. And when you see it, you'll realize nothing was wasted. So stop trying to rush your season. Stop trying to control what you can't. Instead, learn to trust the flow. Some seasons are for building, some for resting, some for releasing, but all of them are sacred. All of them lead you closer to who you were created to be. When everything finally aligns, you'll know it. Things will fall into place without struggle. The peace you were chasing will suddenly live inside you. The right opportunities, the right people, the right timing, all of it will come together like it was always meant to. You'll realize that you didn't miss your moment. Your moment was waiting for you to be ready. And when that alignment happens, you won't have to chase. You won't have to force. What's yours will recognize you. It'll fit. It'll feel natural. That's the power of trusting the seasons. That's the beauty of walking in divine timing. There's a moment in life when the noise fades, and what's left is just you and your faith. No crowd, no applause, no validation, just quiet. That's when you realize the real fight was never out there. It was always inside. Because when everything feels like it's falling apart, faith is the only thing that holds you together. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about knowing deep down that even when it's not fine, You're still standing in the middle of something divine. You see, faith doesn't eliminate fear. It teaches you how to move through it. Faith doesn't make life easy. It makes it possible. You can't always see what God is doing, but that doesn't mean He's not working. Some of the most powerful moves happen in silence, in the spaces where you think nothing's changing. And when you're walking in faith, you have to learn to be okay with not knowing, because faith isn't about certainty, it's about trust. There's something powerful that happens when you stop needing proof and start walking with purpose. When you stop asking, when will it happen, and start saying, even if it doesn't, I still believe, that's when faith matures. Because immature faith says, I'll believe it when I see it. But mature faith says, I'll see it because I believe it. The difference is where your heart rests in sight or in trust. Sometimes God hides what He's building in your life because if you saw it too soon, you might try to control it. You might try to rush it or define it by your own limits, so He keeps it hidden, buried like a seed underground, until it's strong enough to break through. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's dead. Seeds grow in darkness, and that's what faith is, walking through darkness, trusting that something unseen is growing beneath your feet. You'll face moments where faith feels like foolishness. People won't understand why you keep believing, why you keep trying, why you keep hoping when everything says it's over. But that's what separates the dreamers from the doubters. Faith doesn't ask for permission. It just keeps showing up. Even when the evidence says no, faith says, God is still able. And you've got to hold onto that voice inside you that says, keep going. Because sometimes that's all you have, a whisper in your soul telling you not to quit. The world will give you 1,000 reasons to give up, but faith only needs one reason to hold on. And that one reason is enough, because you know who's walking with you. When the storm comes, faith doesn't stop the rain, but it teaches you how to dance in it. It teaches you how to stand when the wind blows, how to breathe when the pressure rises. Faith gives you strength to move forward when logic tells you to turn back. And the beautiful thing is, once you've been through a storm and seen that you're still standing, your faith changes. It gets stronger, deeper, quieter, but unshakable. I've seen people lose everything they thought they needed: relationships, jobs, health, dreams, and still rise again because of faith. That kind of strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from trust. When you reach that point where your plans fall apart and you still say, God, I trust you, that's when heaven moves. That's when you tap into a different kind of power, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. The truth is, faith isn't about what you can hold. It's about what holds you. And when life shakes you, what's inside you has to be stronger than what's around you. That's why faith isn't built on feelings. It's built on foundation. Feelings change, but foundation doesn't. When your life is built on faith, storms may shake it, but they can't destroy it. You might be in a season right now where you feel like you're walking blind, like every door keeps closing, like every prayer keeps echoing back in silence. But I promise you, silence is not absence. God is not ignoring you, He's preparing you. And one day, when the light finally breaks through, you'll look back and realize that every unanswered prayer was really protection. Every delay was direction. Every struggle was preparation. So keep walking, even when the path isn't clear. Keep believing, even when you don't feel it. Keep trusting, even when it doesn't make sense. Because faith isn't about having it all figured out, it's about knowing that you don't have to.